late spring. The sun has finally started to warm the land. This is the loveliest time of year in Wales. The whole country bursts with new growth and new life. For wildlife, this should be the start of the good times. But in the coming weeks, the growing young will keep demanding more, and predators will intensify the hunt. For many animals, this will be the most critical time of the year. Wales, a land of mountains and rugged shoreline, where lush meadows border ancient forests, and where you're never too far from wildlife. Home to 50,000 species, the spectacular and the surprising. Each season brings its own challenges. Finding a mate, raising a family, or simply surviving. Filmed over a year of extremes, through storms and drought and wonder. Welcome to Britain's Wild West. Just off the western tip of Pembrokeshire are the seabird havens of Skomer and Stockholm. Here on Stockholm, spring has transformed the land into a blaze of pink thrift and white sea campion. And deep in the burrows that riddle the island, new life is stirring. These proud puffins have just become parents. Sheltered underground, their single precious egg has finally hatched. Mum and Dad will need to work hard to bring enough food for their growing chick. Astonishingly, the chick needs to eat its own weight in fish every day. It's time for this parent to get to work. At this time of year, the waters around Stockholm are swarming with small fish. Most of these, including the puffin's favourite sand eels, are many meters below the surface. Puffins are good divers. They can hold their breath for nearly 2 minutes and reach depths of up to 50 meters. While foraging, they spend more than a third of their time underwater. Our dad has done well. With a bill full of sand eels, it's time to return to his hungry chick. High on the cliff, someone else is yearning for fish. A herring gull. Compared to a puffin, it's a poor fisherman, so this one has resorted to thievery. As puffins return to their nests, they must run a gauntlet. They'll even rob puffins at their own front door. Our parents' burrow is stalked by a mugger. Puffins are always vigilant when returning with sand eels. Dad spotted the danger and turns back. His neighbor is unaware of the threat. He's about to get into big trouble. A herring gull is more than twice the size of a puffin. And any puffin that tries to hang on to its fish is given a brutal lesson. These attacks can be fatal. Our dad has been waiting for his chance. He has a clear run back to his burrow. These puffins will have to run this gauntlet at least 6 times every day for the next 7 weeks, until their chick fledges. But as long as there are fish in these rich waters, they have every chance of succeeding. On land, the pace of life is frenetic. Underwater, things are much more sedate. A female grey seal. She's pregnant, but not due until the autumn. Right now, her developing baby is around 3 months old. It's about 30 centimeters long and weighs less than a bag of sugar. Food is plentiful. she can take life easy. Grey seals will even take naps underwater, staying down for up to 13 minutes. But when the weather is fine, they seek the warmth of the sun. And where better to sunbathe than here, on the coast of Pembrokeshire? Around 5,000 grey seals live here, the highest concentration anywhere in southern Britain. In mid-May, as the waters around Wales start to warm up, swarms of jellyfish appear. These are barrel jellyfish. They can grow as wide as a dustbin lid and weigh more than 35 kilos. They come in from the open sea to feast on the great flush of plankton now appearing all around the Welsh coast. They catch their tiny prey with thousands of stinging cells that line their tentacles. They are, fortunately, harmless to humans. The same plankton blooms also benefit fish. And these in turn draw in bigger predators. Common dolphins. They live in the rich waters of the Celtic Sea, which lies between the Irish Sea to the north and the Bay of Biscay to the south. But in spring, they come close to shore to hunt. Wales is surrounded by sea on 3 sides. So all life here is affected by the ocean. Vast quantities of moisture-laden air blow in from the Atlantic. This moisture crosses Wales's 2,700 kilometers of coastline as cloud and mist. Westerly winds push this air inland towards the mountains, where it rises and cools, and then it falls. Downpours can be intense. In the most mountainous areas, there can be almost 3 meters of rain a year, more than in many tropical rainforests. Only the hardiest animals, like these Welsh mountain goats, can survive here. And in a few of the wettest and remotest corners of Wales, you can still find magical places. The Celtic rainforest. This fragment lies on the western slopes of Snowdonia. Even in May, the driest time of the year in Wales, it remains damp and humid. Parts of this wood have remained untouched for 10,000 years. This extraordinary time capsule shelters an incredible variety of outlandish plants. 67 species of rare mosses and lichens live here. Some are relics of the last ice age and are found nowhere else. All the rain falling in the mountains eventually makes its way downhill. On its journey, it carves out some of the most beautiful scenery in Britain. Wales's mountain streams feed some of the largest rivers in Britain. The next 3 months will be amongst the driest on record, and these waterways will become lifelines. Of the 48 major rivers born in Wales, the Wye is arguably one of the most beautiful. Its clear waters run 215 kilometers from its source high in the Cambrian Mountains to the Severn Estuary. Many small tributaries run down the Wye's steep banks. In these cold, fast-flowing waters lives a very special animal. And behind this waterfall, it makes its home. Dipper. Wales is a stronghold for these extraordinary birds, which are found on almost all of the country's rivers. These dippers are parents. Their chicks hatched 3 weeks ago. They've been working hard to feed their hungry brood. And they do this by diving. But this is the behavior that gives dippers their name. They're the only songbirds that can dive and swim underwater. They have excellent underwater vision and easily locate insect larvae and small fish. At peak demand, these parents make 10 or more deliveries to their brood every hour. It's a big day for this dipper family. A chick inspects the dangerous outside world for the first time. And takes its first flight. Sibling is a little more cautious. Mum's unaware they've left the nest. Newly fledged chicks don't know how to catch their own food and still rely on their parents. In just a few weeks, they'll have to learn to forage for themselves. So they'll have to get used to cold water. For now, at least, they still have Mum and Dad. Outside Llanelli lies a landscape of watery pools, site of a former quarry. Once a place of commotion and heavy industry, it's now a haven for wildlife. Especially for dragonflies. In Welsh folklore, these creatures symbolize spiritual transformation, renewal, and freedom. Thanks, perhaps, to their extraordinary life cycle. After spending nearly 2 years as a larva, it emerges from its watery home, climbing the stem of the nearest plant. The final stage of its transformation is the shedding of its skin, after which it takes to the air. It will now survive for just 2 brief months of summer. And in this all too short window, it must reproduce. But first, it needs to gain strength, catching up to 200 insects per day. Dragonflies are aided in the hunt by their extraordinary eyes, a complex system of hundreds of lenses, allowing them to see in 360-degree vision. Finally, it is time to mate. The male grasps the female by the scruff of her neck, using claspers on his abdomen. If the female approves, she bends her body in close, and they successfully pair. Some species mate for just a few moments, while others remain locked together for up to 6 hours. The female goes on to deposit hundreds of eggs on the leaves of plants or loose in the water. The same life cycle has been repeated for hundreds of millions of years. A short distance away, on the edge of the Brecons, is an animal that has not been seen wild in Wales for more than 500 years. It has been busy felling trees, and piling up branches. European beaver. This one is captive and part of a program that might eventually introduce them back into the Welsh countryside. For thousands of years, these huge rodents were Wales's natural engineers. By building dams, they create nutrient-rich pools that would have been common in Wales's ancient landscape. Neither this beaver nor its mate will ever be released from this enclosure. But their young might. And thanks to them, Wales may become a little wilder yet. Far from the beaver's pools, the River Wye eventually flows into the sea. Here on the coast, life is governed by the cycle of the sun and moon. Twice a day, the tide ebbs and flows. South Wales has one of the highest tidal ranges in the world, nearly 15 metres at its peak. Rhossili Beach. This particular morning in late May is one of the lowest tides of the month. The retreating sea has left thousands of rock pools. Each pool becomes an isolated little world, rich in marine life. All the bigger predatory fish have gone with the tide. It's time to come out of your shell. A common hermit crab. Body is soft, so it uses an old snail shell for protection. The shell looks heavy. In fact, it's a bit of a drag. This crab, on the other hand, has the latest lightweight model. Shells are essential for a crab's survival and worth fighting for. Usually, hermit crabs will fight to win a larger shell when they outgrow their current one. They size each other up. Our crab has taken a fancy to this lighter but smaller shell. Its owner doesn't want to give it up. Gotcha! But he's not budging. A few knocks might help. If all else fails, there's always the old pincer move. Perfect fit. But his opponent is left naked. This is awkward. He seems reluctant to move into the big shell. But he's vulnerable and has little choice. All he can do is watch as his prized shell is taken away. For this hermit crab, defeat really is a heavy burden. It's the end of May. Far to the north of Rossili, along the coast of Cardigan Bay, is a very special place. The Dovey Estuary. This mosaic of salt marshes, mud flats, and water meadows is one of the most productive habitats in Wales, and a great place to raise a family. A lapwing. This couple's chicks hatched a few days ago. Mum and Dad have brought them to the best feeding spots where the ground is soft and wet. And there is an abundance of insects and other invertebrates. At this age, the chicks can't fly and are very vulnerable. Carrion crow. An egg thief and chick predator. A whole murder of crows. A warning call from Mum, and the chicks take cover. But crows are sharp-eyed, clever, and persistent. Unless the parents do something, their chicks are doomed. Adult lapwings are half the size of the crow, but this pair doesn't hesitate for a moment. Our parents' maneuverability gives them the edge in the air. They are relentless. While the parents are distracted, one crow launches a covert ground attack. Moves into the chicks' feeding ground. The chicks are now in real danger. The parents have spotted the threat. By calling and dive bombing the crow, they drive it away from the chicks. It's had enough. Worryingly, the chicks are nowhere to be seen. This little family is safe for another day. Much of Wales is sparsely populated, and it's easy to see how wildlife thrives here. But some parts of the country are very crowded. Here in the valleys of South Wales, as many as 500 people are packed into each square kilometre. But among the towns and industrial estates, there are surprising oases of wildlife. A wildflower meadow, less than a kilometre away from the old mining town of Aberbargoed. It's now early June. The weather is getting hot, and the orchids are in full bloom. They are rich in nectar and attract a distinctive visitor. A marsh fritillary, one of Wales's rarest butterflies. This adult will only live for 2 weeks. It's morning, and this male is drinking nectar and warming his body in the sun. He's preparing for the most important task of his short life, finding a mate. He's in luck. The female will only mate once in her life. Copulation can last for hours. When they finally finish, the male seals her up with a special secretion, making it impossible for her to mate again. The female now embarks on her own critical mission, to find a place to lay her eggs. Finding the right location is key for her offspring's survival. Many plants will be poisonous for her caterpillars. Here, under a leaf of the strangely named devil's bit scabious, she has found the perfect spot. She carefully lays up to 350 eggs. She will not live to see these eggs hatch. She has done her best to ensure their survival. Her mission is complete. All this happens a short walk from what used to be the largest colliery waste tip in Europe. Proof that in Wales, you are never too far from wildlife. This June is so dry it's turning into a drought. ground is baked and hard. And for some animals, this is a problem. Fortunately, the wildlife here in this suburban garden is getting a helping hand. A banquet of dog treats with a side order of bread. But the guests for this dinner party won't turn up until nightfall. A badger. Earthworms are the mainstay of a badger's diet, but the ground is so dry, they are now much harder to dig up. Such handouts are hotly contested. This fox would love to get a share, but he wouldn't dare challenge a badger. You would think that family would be welcome. But these big bullies don't want to share their dog biscuits. The little one gives it another go. Badgers don't usually fight over food. But when you're hungry, the usual rules no longer apply. The small one is muscled out. But all is not lost. He's found the side order of bread. Across Wales, the sunny, dry weather continues. This June is turning into the hottest on record. The early heat wave drives people to the coast to cool off. But it's not just humans seeking relief from the sun. This pond in a wild suburban garden on the south coast has become a refuge for frogs. With the surrounding land so dry, ponds like this are a sanctuary. Close by, a very different animal is soaking up the late afternoon rays. A female grass snake. It's been a while since she's been able to take on any fluids. She's thirsty. She heads for water. The pond might even be a relief after spending so long in the hot sun. She drinks, pumping in water using muscular contractions in her mouth and throat. But now she needs something more. Food. Time to hunt. A favorite prey is frog. This pond is alive with them, so catching one should be easy. But with so many eyes watching, creeping up unnoticed is almost impossible. She's out of luck. She's cold-blooded, and as she loses heat, she becomes less active. She's using up her store of energy, and with the sun getting low, she's running out of time. She needs to hunt quickly. But frogs are incredibly wary. That was her last chance. But in the coming days, it'll get hotter and the pond will get smaller. The odds will soon be in her favor. In the last few weeks, Wales's animals have made it through a challenging time. They've provided food for their young, defended their families, and given the next generation a fighting chance. But now summer is here. And this is when things really start to heat up.